What's up guys, Derek here with Tap and Turn Gaming coming at you today with another EDH deck tech. Now today's deck tech will be for Sigarda Heron's Grace, as you can see. This is a deck that was requested to us by one of our very loyal subscribers, Nightcore Jack, who wanted to see a Sigarda deck. He didn't ask for any particular theme or budget, so we took it upon ourselves to just build something. So the commander is Sigarda Heron's Grace. She's a 5-cost 4/5 angel from Shadows over Innistrad, and she has flying, and you and humans you control have hexproof, and for 2 mana, exile a card from your graveyard to put a 1/1 white human soldier creature token onto the battlefield. Now, I like her. A 5-cost 4/5 flyer that gives you hexproof and humans you control hexproof is pretty cool. I don't necessarily love her secondary ability to exile cards from my graveyard. If it was exile cards from my opponent's graveyard, that'd be one thing, but I don't really want to get rid of my tools that I can use again. So now we're just going to go over the cards I threw in and why I threw them in. Go over it pretty quickly. First thing I'll go over is the lands. Some obvious choices. Command Tower. I marry the Sky Ruin because if you have 7 planes, you get the free res every turn. We have 15 basic forests. Fortified Village. Mosswort Bridge. The hideaway is always fun. 14 planes. Reliquary Tower. Sunpetal Grove. Temple Garden. And Windswept Heath. Again, nothing too crazy, just your basic sort of green-white land package. For Planeswalkers, we're running Elspeth Knight Errant, mostly for the fact that she gives the +1 to make guys. We want to just be spitting out guy after guy after guy every turn, and just build a small little army. And then also, if we happen to get her up to her ultimate, and we can make everything we have indestructible, that's also nice too. Not as necessary, we just really want to start spitting out massive amounts of guys. We're running Freyalise Llanowar's Fury. She's another 5-cost Planeswalker, because, Elspeth is 4-cost. Freyalise is 5-cost. We're mostly using her for the +2 to be able to put a 1/1 green elf druid onto the battlefield that can tap for mana. Not so much because it can tap for mana, though that is nice, but mostly because we can just keep spitting out guys and spitting out guys and spitting out guys. We really want to go for sort of a token overrun theme. And then her -6 to draw a card for each green creature we control is nice, and her -2 to destroy a target artifact or enchantment is also very nice, but predominantly we're using her to make guys. Then we have Garruk Wildspeaker. We will mostly be using him for his very well known to untap 2 target lands. But later on in the game, we're going to just keep bouncing between lands and then the 3/3 creature, lands and 3/3 creature, lands and 3/3 creature. That sort of thing. Because he also spits out guys for us. Now, we didn't run Call of the Beast, even though Call of the Beast can put out more guys, because Garruk Wildspeaker is the OG Garruk, and he can also untap those lands, and that is a super helpful thing to use. We do run a pretty heavy amount of enchantments, so we'll go over those next. We're running Aura Shards. That is because we are going to be spitting out a lot of guys, and when we're spitting out a lot of guys, we can have them kick off Aura Shards to be able to destroy any artifacts or enchantments that get in our way. We're running Awakening Zone for the free Eldrazi spawn to be able to sacrifice it for mana. Defense the Heart because ripping out our 2 biggest guys from our deck because our opponent has some guys is a very nice ability. Earthcraft, this is an amazing card. There's a reason it has that $28 price tag on it. The fact that we can tap an untapped creature we control to untap target land is just absolutely phenomenal, and we can really abuse that. Then we have From Beyond, which is the bigger brother to Awakening Zone, which lets us get 1/1 Eldrazi Scions instead of spawns. Other than that, same thing. Glare of Subdual is going to let us tap our untapped creatures to tap target artifact or creature our opponents control. So this is really nice because we can go ahead and use all the tokens we're going to be generating to just tap down and lock down our opponents. Martyr's Bond is basically just the white version of Grave Pact. Whenever a non-land permanent we control dies, the opponent has to sacrifice a permanent that shares a type with that. So if we lose an enchantment, they have to lose an enchantment, artifact, so on and so forth. Really super great card. Then we have Presence of God. This is a 3-cost enchantment that we can put on a creature, a 3-cost aura. And the enchanted creature has tapped this to put a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token onto the battlefield. Just another way to let us spit out tokens. And this one has a couple infinite combos with it, so those are really nice too. We have Privileged Position. It's a 5-cost enchantment that other permanents you control can't be targeted by spells or abilities your opponents control. So basically, we put this down, and before our opponent can get rid of anything we have with a targeted spell, they have to get rid of the Privileged Position first, which combos very nicely with our General, who gives all of our humans hexproof as well as us. So with Privileged Position and our General down, none of our permanents can be targeted, and we can't be targeted until they get rid of the Privileged Position and our General. So that's a really nice sort of soft lock. Then we have Squirrel's Nest. Squirrel's Nest is really fun. Enchanted land. The Enchanted land has tapped this to put a 1/1 green squirrel out of the battlefield. Pretty basic. What it does well, and it's really fun. And it goes infinite on its own with Earthcraft, because you can enchant the land, tap the land with Squirrel's Nest to get the 1/1 squirrel, tap the 1/1 squirrel with Earthcraft to untap the land, so on and so forth. And lastly, Survival of the Fittest. Being able to pitch the creature we don't need at the moment to get the creature we do need is very, very, very welcomed in really any situation you could need. Now for our sorceries, we're running Cultivate for the ramp, Day of Judgment for the sweeper, Declaration of Stone for the fact that it's a nice little exile spell, and it can nuke tokens, which is awesome. And Hostilities, another sweeper, Genesis Wave because it's super fun and we can generate infinite mana. Kadama's Reach for the ramp, Planar Outburst, another sweeper, Recollect and Regrowth to take things back from our graveyard. See the Unwritten rather. I'm pretty fond of the spell. I like what it does. Reveal the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them on the battlefield and put the rest in your graveyard. The fact that this is a 6 mana spell that lets us just put a creature from the top of our library onto the battlefield is just really awesome. And if you're ferocious, being you have a creature power 4 or greater, you can put 2 creatures on the board. It's really powerful. I like it a lot. I've always been fond of this spell since it came out. Even though it's only a $1 card, I find it really fun. Sky Shroud Claim, just another ramp spell. Tooth and Nail, there's no denying what Tooth and Nail does or why it's so powerful. It's why it has an over $20 price tag. And Wrath of God, because who doesn't need the OG sweeper? For our sorceries, for our instants, it's basically just removal. We have Beast Within, Court of Calling, which is not removal, but it's a creature tutor, which is very, very nice. The fact that it has Convoke and the amount of tokens we're going to spit out means we can pretty much cast it for free most of the time and get out whatever we want. Then we have Crib Swap, Devouring Light, Path of Exile, and Swords to Plowshares, so just a nice little suite of removal spells. Now for our creatures, it's more or less a package of green, white, good stuff with some token production in there. But we have Acidic Slime to be able to destroy the toys. Ant Queen serves as a nice way to generate some tokens. Archon of Justice is really nice. When he dies, we can exile something, just some more removal. Avacyn Angel of Hope is really nice to make all the things we have indestructible. So if you have Avacyn down and you have down the Privileged Position, they can't target anything but Privileged Position, and Privileged Position is indestructible. That is a very, very, very powerful combo. Dauntless Escort lets us sacrifice him and creatures we control indestructible till end of turn. That's really just a really, really powerful little ability we have there. We have Devout Captain. We can tap him and tap 2 humans we control to exile target artifact or enchantment. It's really good. We have a few humans in here. He's mostly in here just for that spot removal. I mean, I'm sure there's cards that do it better. I don't know. I kind of like him. Plus, she's a human herself, so that's always helpful. Let's see, where were we? Eternal Witness. Everybody knows what she does. Green Warden of Murasa, basically the bigger cousin of Eternal Witness. Indric Stompowler, he breaks the things. Kami the False Hope, so we can fog, basically. Comic God lets us res something from the graveyard. Pretty fun. Luminant Primordial, a lot of people don't really like him. Probably the reason he has a 30-cent price tag. He's a 7-cost, 4/7 with Vigilance, so it's not terrible. He can just be a constant threat on the board. You can swing with him every turn because he's still going to be there to block. And when he comes into play, we can exile a creature that an opponent controls, and they gain life equal to its power. I frankly don't care how much life I give my opponent if I can take away their massive threat. Like, if I'm using him, it's getting rid of a card that is just huge and nasty, and even if I got rid of their Avacyn, I will gladly give them 8 life to get rid of their Avacyn. So the pros outweigh the cons, and you can do it for each opponent, so that's really nice. You can, play politics. Midnight Guard is in here because he's part of a combo piece, but he is a human soldier, so he gets the hexproof from Sigarda, and he also can be used for Devout Captain. Sorry, Chaplain, not Captain. Apparently I can't read. But whenever another creature enters the battlefield, we untap Midnight Guard. So he's also part of a little infinite mana combo that I'll talk about. Then we have Revelark. Revelark is just awesome. Does a lot of rezzing. Really, really good. Safi Eric's daughter, another human that we have. But you could sacrifice her, so the next time target creature is put into the graveyard for play this turn, return that card to play. She has a nice little infinite combo with Sun Titan. Beyond that, she serves as a human. She serves as some way to save our people. She's just a good toolbox card. Then we have Sigarda 1, which is a 5-cost 5/5 flyer with flying and a hexproof, and spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause you to sacrifice permanents. I mean, we can really just set up one hell of a lock. If we have Sigarda down, we can't be forced to sacrifice anything. If we have Avacyn down, all of our stuff is indestructible. If we have down Privileged Position, nothing that we have can be targeted besides Privileged Position. And if we have down Sigarda, we can't be targeted. So if you have those all down, I can't be targeted. My stuff is indestructible. I can't be forced to sacrifice anything. And the only way you can break that up is to either do a mass bounce or a mass tuck. Or if you can somehow get my Privileged Position off the board and then go after the other things that I have. But it's a really good lock. We have Sporefrog, which serves as a second Kami of the False Hope. Sun Titan, because when he comes in, he can take a toy back, and when he attacks, I can take a toy back, and I like toys. Then we have Sunstrike Legionnaire. He serves as sort of a second version of Midnight Guard, where he doesn't untap himself, but whenever another creature comes into play, he untaps, and that serves as a combo piece for us. Then we have Terracodon to break 3 things, and Woodfall Promise to also break things. And then lastly, for the deck, we have the artifacts. We run Argentum Armor, so that when we equip something, we can destroy some toys. Chromatic Lantern for the mana fixing / mana ramp. Darksteel Ingot for the fixing and the ramp. Gilded Lotus for the fixing and the ramp. Nim Death Mantle for the res, because the res is fun. Skull Clamp, I like to draw cards. Soul Ring, because it is Soul Ring and it is good. And Springleaf Drum. The card's not really great. It's not really bad. It's okay. I just like it that you can tap an uncrapped creature you control to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Mostly in there for the fact that I like it, really. I mean, that's really it. It doesn't really serve much of a purpose in this deck. We don't really have any inspired stuff. It's just in there because I kind of like it, and we're going to be generating a lot of tokens, so we'll pretty much always be able to use it. But that's about the long and short of the deck. I'm going to go over a few little interactions we have and combos we have, just so you can see sort of where I was leaning with the deck. Alright guys, so one of the combos I had already mentioned was the fact that we can use Earthcraft and Squirrel's Nest to generate infinite amounts of tokens. Now that generates us an infinite amount of tokens, and we can do that into the opponent's turn, and then on our turn, we swing and we win. And that's good. We can do that. That's all good. Now, with that combo, we add in Aura Shards. We can destroy infinite amounts of enchantments and artifacts. That's all good as well. Destroying infinite things is great. So another thing that we can also do is we can take our Presence of Gond, which lets us tap to put a 1/1 elf into play. Then we can now use that enchantment on top of our Midnight Guard, which whenever a creature comes into play, he untaps. Or our Sunstrike Legionnaire, whenever a creature comes into play, he untaps. So we put the enchantment on either one of these two, tap them to generate the token. When the token comes in, they untap. Then we can tap it to generate the token, so on and so forth, generating infinite tokens. Now if we have Earthcraft, we can use those tokens to untap a land, generating infinite mana. So with those 3 cards down, we can generate infinite mana and infinite tokens. And that's always pretty fun. And then, on your next turn, you swing, and that's all good. Some other stuff we can do is if we have Earthcraft down, we have down both Sunstrike Legionnaire and Midnight Guard. We can go ahead and tap those 2 to untap 2 lands with this. Tap those 2 lands with Ant Queen to generate a 1/1 ant. When that 1/1 ant comes in, these 2 guys will untap. When they untap, we can tap them to untap the 2 lands again, generate another token. So we can generate infinite tokens that way as well. So just some different things we can do. There's also the Safi Eric's Daughter / Revelark combo, where we have Safi Eric's Daughter on the board. we then go ahead and we evoke our Revelark, which is going to cause it to die immediately. We sacrifice Safi Eric's daughter, which will cause the Revelark to come back to the battlefield. Because Revelark actually died, it's going to put her trigger on the stack to be able to res a creature with power 2 or less. So we res Safi, and then we could res our Acidic Slime, or our Devout Chaplain, or our Eternal Witness, or our Copy of False Hope, Comic Guide. So then what a lot of people end up doing is you let the Revelark die. When the Revelark dies, you sacrifice Safi to bring the Revelark back. Revelark will bring back Safi, and will bring back Comic Guide, because Revelark brings back 2 creatures, and then the Comic Guide brings back anything. So there's a lot of good synergy floating around, as well as just the lockdown that I said earlier, of if you have down your Avacyn, and you have down your Sigarda 1, and you have down your Sigarda 2, and you have down your Pillar's Position, then you are basically in a very, very good position. And that's what I would pretty much grab every time with Tooth and Nail. If I cast Tooth and Nail, I'm either going to grab Terrastodon and Wolfall Primus to break a lot of their toys, or I'm going to grab Sigarda and Avacyn to just make sure my toys can't get broken and I'm in an amazing spot. And that's more or less what we went for, was the ability to be able to generate a buttload of tokens. There's some things you can say I left out. I didn't put in any of the Soul Sisters to gain infinite life, so that's something I could as well. That would get pretty degenerate, I guess. And I also didn't put any sacrifice free sack outlets, like an Altar of the Brood would be phenomenal in here, an Ashnod's Altar would be phenomenal in here. Just some things I kept out just to show some other options that we could put in. But cards I would definitely put in if you want to go for a more aggressive route, Altar of the Brood, because once with Altar of the Brood, you can probably win turn 4. Turn 1, you can play Altar of the Brood. Turn 2, you play whatever. Turn 3, you play your Midnight Guard. Turn 4, you play Presence of Gond on your Midnight Guard, and you win, more or less, because you can now tap your Midnight Guard, get the token, he untaps, blah, blah, blah. So you could win turn 4. And that's more or less not something I was going for, but it's something you could totally do. That being said, let's take a look at some of the stats of the deck. It's pretty evenly split between white and green. 51% green, 46% white, and then a little bit of colorless, or split symbols rather. Then we have over here, obviously your predominantly lands in just about every deck, but we're pretty heavy on the creatures with a balance of sorcerers and enchantments. The deck curves pretty well from 1 and 2 into 3, and then starts to curve down. So once you hit like turn 5, for the most part, you can start casting at least 2 spells a turn. The deck clocks in at around $376 using TCG mid. And that's more or less all I really have. This has been the Sigarda Heron's Grace deck that Nightcore Jack wanted to see. This has been Derek with Tap and Turn Gaming. I hope you like the deck and some of the ideas we went with it, and I hope you can maybe take some ideas for your decks. But yeah, thanks a lot. Like, comment, subscribe. We really do appreciate it. And check out our upcoming Tribe Wars. Thanks a lot, and goodbye.